Hey folks, it's Tom, your frugal prepper. I got a package from South Main Auto in the mail uh, from Erico. I opened it up and it's a Power Probe 4, uh, like brand new. I've already had it open, played with it a little bit, been reading through the manual, been watching all kinds of videos that I can find on how to use it. Uh, but I'm excited to have this and to add to my diagnostic arsenal. I'm going to do tons of videos. I want to see if I can read the 400 hertz signal on Ford Smart Charging system, GenMon GenCom system. I want to do some idle air control motors and see if I can see the pulse width on it, or any kind of motors that are pulse width fired. I want to play with the driver tests. So I think this is a really sweet tool. I know, like on some of Erico's videos, like I kind of make negative comments about how noisy it was. And truth is, I was just jealous. I didn't have one, and now I do. So I'm very happy. It is when you're powering up circuits to test things, you got to be careful not to send 12 volts down the driver input. Where you're going to let the smoke out of the PCM. So, Power Probe, even fully trained Jedi should be wary of such power. Don't flip the switch when you're hooked up to the wrong thing, right? Know what you're after. Read your wiring diagrams. Make sure you understand the circuit. That's what I'm going to do, because if I fry somebody's PCM, I don't have the ability to program a new one here. I have to send that out. And if it was my fault and I did it, I'd have to pay for the PCM and pay for the programming. Which, there goes my electric for the month, right? So, I have savings. It wouldn't be that big of a deal, but, it would be quite expensive. But I'll probably experiment on my own cars first. If I blow one up, it's just my stuff. But, yeah, it comes with the manual. I've been reading. It does the, DC voltage testing. And that's also, I think, in the DC voltage mode. Is that where you activate components too? I think, so you can test DC voltage. You can activate components in the voltage DC mode. You can do power feed tests, which is just basically telling you if there's a voltage drop, and then it wouldn't light up. So it checks like the circuit resistance, and if there's more than a half volt drop, I think. You got your AC measurement and RMS, so RMS is always 70.7% of the peak-to-peak, averaged out. That basically gives you an average voltage of what the peaks are. And then your AC voltage measurement, it gives to you also in peak-to-peak, which will show you pulse width, which is really sweet. That's what I want to try the idle air control motor out on, and see if we can see that correctly. It'll show you like the min and the max there. And then it's got the frequency measurement, which I want to try out with the Ford Smart Charging system. And it's got a fuel injector test mode, which won't tell you if it's letting fuel out. You need an amp clamp on a scope to see the little bumps for that, but it tells you like the general, it tells you that it's getting signal, so it might come in really handy just when you got a no crank no start. You got this tool out anyway to test other stuff, you can flip that over there and you can see that the injector is firing without having to go get another tool, which annoyed light, or in my case I back rub it with the T-pin, put a test light on it. So yeah, I can't wait to really get into this, do some practicing and some testing. If I get some cars in to work on with electrical problems, I'm going to make sure I get videos on that stuff. I have been really overloaded with car repairs lately. I just haven't had time to film them. And, every one of them has been like, I need this back tomorrow, as soon as possible, and I just have to get busy and get it done. And so I had some good electrical ones lately too. I had an '04 Chevy Suburban. So it just came to me, the AC doesn't work. We tried putting Freon in it, and it worked for a little bit and then quit again. I'm thinking, yeah, it's got a leak. I get it here, put the gauges on. We're like 75 psi on low and high, which it's equalized because it hasn't been running. So I'm like, I don't think the problem is necessarily Freon related. You can't really tell if that's enough based off of that static pressure until it's running. But yeah, it turned out that it had a bad wire going to the AC compressor clutch for the positive wire going to the clutch from the relay. And so I got that repaired, and then there was no signal coming from the PCM to turn the relay on. And so I pull out the diagram, and I'm like, well, here's what we have to check. There's a refrigerant pressure sensor on the high side that goes straight to the PCM. Then there is the low pressure switch on the accumulator that goes back to the HVAC control module, which then communicates to the PCM. And so I popped off that low pressure switch, and the prongs that were completely spread out. Now somebody's been shoving a paper clip or something down in there trying to get the compressor going, was my thought. I found out later from a friend of his that went to another shop, and they had diagnosed it as needing a compressor. So I was able to repair that just by being able to read a diagram, look at a few things, figure out what was going on. So I really am enjoying the electrical diagnostics. Every time I do one, I learn something. Sometimes it takes longer than it should. Sometimes it might take me 4 hours to work my way through it, and I'm only billing an hour. But every time I do that, I learn something, and that knowledge is invaluable because it helps me diagnose them faster in the future if I get the same or similar problems. So this is going to be great to add to the arsenal of diagnostic tools. So look for videos from me on the Power Probe. Go over and tell Erico thanks for sending Frugal a Power Probe. Give him a thumbs up for me. Leave him some kind of comment. Help his channel out. I'll put a link down below to his video where he did a lot of tests and shows a lot of what the Power Probe can do. And make sure you check that out too. I'll talk to y'all later. This is Tom, your Frugal Prepper.